Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bill Heyman's Bogus Hangout. I'm going to have our guests introduce themselves. Doc?
Hello, everybody. Doc Sheldon here of Intrinsic Value SEO and Search News Central.
Terry?
Terry Van Horn, International Website Builders. Bunch of other stuff too, but not very interesting.
I'm Bill Slawski, author at SEO by the Sea and director of SEO research at GoFish Digital. So we were talking about news, guys. And no,
Good.
a little bit.
A good background.
So we were talking about news, and I was mentioned how I lived in central New Jersey, and I got my choice of violence in the news between New York City and Philadelphia. And I guess a lot of news has turned up like that. It's turned out that way.
Yep.
I guess the only exception I can think of is Bloomberg News, which is all technology and stock market.
Which isn't necessarily to be confused with good news.
No, so
If you own it or not.
Well, it's funny. Even the Wall Street Journal. I used to love the Journal for financial and business stuff, but even that has gotten to be, they're not running a story just because somebody got stabbed, but they're not turning themselves away from them either if they can possibly tie it to a business situation. I saw one not too long ago. Some business their stock was suffering because I don't remember if it was CMO or CFO. I think it was CFO had been charged in a severe battery of his wife, and they spent more paragraphs in the story talking about the police case and the charges and the defense than they did talking about the stock of the company. So come on, Journal, you can do better than that.
Mhm. I'm not a fan of the paywall, and I'm not a subscriber, so I miss the stories. I get to read the first paragraph and then go look somewhere else for the same story.
Yeah, the paywalls on newspapers are changing again.
Started reading the story about Google being charged with antitrust, possibly. You think should Google be dismantled?
I suspect that when they formed Alphabet, they were already taking some premeditated steps to protect them against that possible eventuality, because it would, you certainly don't want that kind of thing to be a surprise. But I don't know how they're going to separate without having it really impact their other operations, because basically ads is their moneymaker. If they make them break off ads, they're going to have to find a way to funnel those funds into these other endeavors, and that's going to be tough to do with a public company.
They still own Nest, or did they walk away from that?
They still own Nest, but they've sort of dismantled it, a lot of it.
Next step is to just shut it down. Yeah. I remember quite a few years back in the UK, they were trying to say they should be able to mix all these different types of search and whatnot. They didn't like that they owned YouTube and Google, which were the two top search engines. They didn't like that. Mm. But you can't separate these companies, really.
It's very tough. Yeah.
You take search away from from the ads, there's nothing to support the search. So,
Exactly.
But they could still work with just the content network, and they could resurrect, Google Plus and be just like Facebook, a paid network.
Well, the problem is that if they try to continue to interface search and ads as two separate business entities, that becomes a major nightmare. And that after a breakup like this, they're going to be scrutinized heavily. And that's very tough to do, between the lines without crossing boundaries, especially if you have to take a group of people that have been working together under one umbrella and separate them under two umbrellas and not have them communicate the way they always have communicated. That's just a lawyer's nightmare.
I believe there is a China wall between search and AdWords.
There is a wall to a degree, but
I think it's a China wall because they don't want one to affect the other. And that's what they said from the outset, before they even got ads, that adding ads to a search engine makes it biased. And they weren't willing for it. So I believe there will always be a real Chinese wall. And if Google says we don't do this, for instance, we don't use Google Analytics, I believe them.
Yeah, I do too.
They have to be transparent about those types of things, or they get in trouble.
The complaints I see aren't that Google Search and Google Ads are separate or they're offered by the same company. It's that Google provides access to other types of search, like news and local. And people complain about that Google's providing access to their own properties in preference to other types of search. Which I don't understand that. I see them as one search.
No,
they work together well.
You know who's saying that? The people who are competing against them in search are saying that because they can't compete in any vertical with Google.
Yeah.
When you think about it, Google is the best for a reason because it's by far the best search engine.
It's not because they're taking advantage of the fact that they have multiple verticals. It's that they're better at search than the other companies.
Exactly. And I don't think I cannot imagine them ever deliberately favoring their own properties. That would just be like painting a target on your back in the wrong side of town. I mean, they don't need to, and it'd be stupid to do so.
Even if they do, it's their site. They don't tell me, well, they try and tell me what to do on my site. But, for the same reason that I don't listen to them, they shouldn't listen to anybody else. It's their site. They should look after themselves. I have no problem with it. You know what? If the other verticals were better, people would go to them.
True.
Right. I mean, don't close out Google Maps, because if we had to rely on Apple Maps, we'd be in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, what happened when they took Google Maps off of the Apple phones?
Yeah.
Big complaints. Oh, you put garbage on here. You replaced a good thing with something inadequate. That's like punishing people for being successful. You're successful, so you can't do that.
Well, at least down here, Terry, that is pretty much the way that we do things. Not saying it's right, but yeah, as soon as somebody gets successful, we start throwing darts at them. They must have screwed somebody to get there. They must be lying. They must be stealing. That just seems to be the American mindset, unfortunately. To a certain level, when Ma and Pa can suddenly refurbish their store or open a second outlet, we celebrate their success. But it gets to be an envious level of success, we make demons out of them.
Mm-hmm. We break up Bell Telephone. that way?
Ma Bell.
Yeah.
Well, they only did that in the United States. They didn't do that anywhere else. God, Bell Telephone even owned the equipment. The manufacturer of the equipment, they manufactured their own equipment. It was monopoly all the way. Government sanctioned.
Well, their downfall, though, was the fact that the government, taxes, subsidized so much of their infrastructure.
Not here. Here they said, you know what? You have to let other people use your infrastructure, and here's what you can charge them.
That's what eventually happened to a degree down here. But I'm talking about, when they first started building the telephone system in the States, taxes subsidized a tremendous portion of it. And I don't have a problem with that, because I think the nation really benefited from it.
Yeah.
But then people start throwing rocks at them. You use my taxes to make yourself rich, and I don't get to say anything about controlling the rates you're charging me, which I also see some validity to. But Ma Bell was their own worst enemy. They refused to imagine that a breakup was even a possibility, which was stupid on their part. They left themselves vulnerable, and they thought that they were untouchable, and, sorry.
Well, when you got the government in your hip, you kind of think you're untouchable.
Yeah, walk up to a cop and say, "You can't fuck with me," and see how well that works for you.
Well, I think politicians, their job is to get reelected. That's what their job really is. And that's what they're usually good at. They're probably crummy at anything else, but they can get elected. And how do they do it? They're friends with people like Bell and all that stuff.
Yep.
Until, they can walk away and nobody will complain. And that's how they get broken up. I guess that's how someone outside the United States looks at it, I guess.
I cannot even imagine. Well, I can imagine, and it ain't very pleasant, how some of the countries outside the United States look at the United States right now. It ain't pretty.
We ain't doing much better.
You're doing
here.
Don't kid yourself, Terry. You're doing much better. Okay.
Our prime minister. Oh no, he fired the governor. The guy in charge of the law for him fired him because they wouldn't let some company here in Canada off that's been ripping off governments paying off governments for years. And here, if you get busted for that, you can't do government work. And guess what? Without them, no work gets done because they're the only company that can do it.
Well, I understand you guys have problems with your PM, and I'm just saying that until Canada starting indiscriminate wars around the world and leaving hundreds of thousands of dead civilians in their wake, you're doing much better.
Oh yeah, well, we just clean up your messes.
That must keep you fucking busy.
Oh, it does.
That's a full-time job there, mate. We can make them faster than you can clean them up.
Iron is not very. They rented planes to go over to Iraq. They don't own them; they rent them. Boats. It was boats. Excuse me, not planes.
So did anybody feel anything from our, what did he call it? Gary Ilias called it something, and Dave was...
He was really creative with the name.
Yeah. But anybody seen any clients fluctuate with it? I haven't. I haven't seen any impact yet. What I do see is an awful lot of conjecture about the people that claim to know what the hell it is. It kind of destroys your credibility right there.
But, you know, I haven't looked at this one closely, right? But what I've been looking at for a long time, and what they call phantom updates or refreshes of the content algo or the content quality algos, those got to refresh. They're finding them and keeping track of them, but then they still got to refresh things to realign it. Can't do that in real time. So that's what these phantom updates are.
Yeah, well, he didn't call this one a phantom. He said it was a relatively major update to the algorithm. The algorithm, right?
I thought it was a hardware update too. Something changed there, didn't it?
I hadn't seen that.
Say that. And when Google introduced RankBrain and Hummingbird, didn't they tell us that they had put both of those into motion
Weeks prior.
or months before in some cases?
Yeah. Yeah, Hummingbird was out for 3 or 4 months, I think, before the topic ever hit the airwaves.
And RankBrain was like
weeks at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time that I recall them ever saying ahead of time, we're going to release an update of the algorithm, okay, the search algorithm.
They're saying
I like that. I think that's great because it might keep some of the conjecture more under control.
No, I think it's publicity stunt.
How so?
We're going to change something. Just wait. And wait. And the next day, we haven't released it yet.
Look, that comes out of that guy's, Mr. Elias's mouth. Here and here, nothing stops because it ain't worth it.
Gary likes to talk in riddles and.
Well, he can pull out those guys. The chain is so easy to pull and get these guys. Oh, geez.
Yep.
They're all seeing ghosts. That's probably what it is. They're all seeing ghosts.
And the justification for giving us a pre-release announcement was that we could prepare for it.
And what do you prepare for if they're not going to tell you anything? Oh.
With the mobile first upgrade, at least you could prepare for that. They provide enough information for us to do that. When they just say, just wait, you'll see it. That's pure PR.
No, 2 different letters. Start with a B.
Well, it's that too,
but when they start misleading and saying statements like that and playing people, that's a guy that has become a problem. We have enough mess without that.
Please do not hang up. Your Google listing may be in jeopardy.
So
that is that number. That it is. Please do not hang up.
Well, the odds are pretty good it would be. You don't have to be Nostradamus to figure that out, buddy.
I mean, it's much better caller ID than not provided or unassigned or whatever, just a long string of numbers. And that's what that, you're not ranking in Google, you're not appearing as high as you should in Google results. You can help you with that. Last time I talked to them, I got to actually talk to a human being. I got past the robocall stage. And the guy read, oh, your company is SEO by the sea. Oh, you know this stuff. What do we call you? And
Well,
then
right there, he's smarter than the average caller. You got SEO in your company name. Gee, I wonder if you're a dentist or maybe you know what I'm calling about.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lordy. Yeah, the ones that, I mean, it's so easy, as I have learned from our buddy Rob, it's so easy to do this stuff with bots. But the ones that I really get a kick in the pants over is the humans that want to introduce you to SEO.
Yeah.
I've had that twice in the last couple of months. Somebody wanted to know if I had anybody doing my SEO. And I said, my what? Your SEO. SEO? And I thought, Jesus, what country are you in? And they didn't even have, I mean, they had an American English accent. They didn't have a, Asian or Far Eastern accent. I thought, Jesus, if somebody is going to be on a call center trying to peddle bullshit to SEOs, you'd think they'd at least tell them what they're trying to sell.
No clue.
And trying to sell, teeth cleaning to a dentist might not be the best business model, I've discovered something about myself. Having restored my 3-monitor setup, now with 3 monitors to set up my different work centers differently, I can be inefficient, half again as inefficient as I was with Sue. Probably if Facebook wasn't on one of them, I'd be more productive.
Fill one of those monitors with videos or television. Or
I want to get a wall mount rack and get 6 of them up here. And I can, play games, watch 2 movies at once.
I'm confused enough with one screen thing.
No, yeah. Well, I get so tired of having a tab between screens looking at different stuff to work with stuff, and it's nice to be able to extend them and just be able to copy paste and drag something from one to the other. But I gotta police myself a little bit so I don't get ooh, shiny. I get distracted.
just start staring off into space and talking to it. Well, now it's maybe a little bit too much.
My daddy always said that talking to yourself was a sign of a stable mind. I said, yeah, Dad, but you get in arguments with yourself and you fucking lose, so what does that say?
I'm not sure how stable mind that is. The guy in the White House calling himself a stable genius.
Stable genius? Oh, yeah. He is neither. Some clown this morning in a thread was saying that he was a Trumpster, and he was saying that CNN was not a credible source. And I said, wait, we're going to compare a news agency like CNN in terms of credibility with your hero. What's wrong with this picture? Oh, I got blocked again.
I mean, when he starts denying things that he says that have been recorded and spread around the internet and put in front of millions of people and says, I didn't say that.
I wonder sometimes, Bill, if he honestly believes that he didn't say it. I mean, is he that deranged?
if he says that he didn't say something, does it make reality like that? Have that much power as a stable genius?
Well, to his base, if you say it 3 times, it seems to have an effect.
I guess we deserve the government we get, don't we?
Say again, Bill?
I said, I guess we deserve the government we get, don't we?
I guess.
Someone voted for him.
Somebody did, yeah.
And unfortunately, a hell of a lot of people were too lazy to bother. I hope we get over that. I would love to see mandatory voting. You didn't vote this time, $1,000 fine. You didn't vote this time for the second time, $10,000 fine. Get off your ass and go vote. Federal law gives you a half a day off to do it. Whatever it takes, but get some participation, because when you've got a 30-some% turnout, it's just, I've always believed it. If you didn't bother to vote, you got no room to bitch. Shut up. Right. But I don't think, if I didn't get out to vote, I don't think I would have the willpower to not bitch right now, because there's just so much to bitch about. So I'm going to bitch about the people that didn't bother to vote.
Yeah, but aren't the people that 60-something% that doesn't show up to vote, isn't that a vote against the system?
Well, I think in our case, I think it was to a degree.
I don't think it's laziness. I don't vote for a reason. I don't think there's a person in a long time that is being worth voting for.
The last person that I would have cheerfully supported as a presidential candidate was Jack Kennedy, and I was too young to vote for him. But every other time, it's basically been a matter of voting against somebody. But at least I voted. Even when I wasn't in the country, I voted. It's just, I think in our instance, the last time, there were so many people that were never Hillary, that they were willing to not vote and let others make the decision rather than to cast a vote for somebody that they detested. And so the other person that they have learned to detest won instead. I mean, if you have an opportunity to participate and you don't participate, you kind of deserve what you get. For whatever reason that you didn't bother, it's just like the same way. The folks that see some third-party candidate who is garnering something like 4% of the vote in the primaries, and they're going to go cast their vote for him. It's a throwaway, I'm sorry, but the United States is not yet to the point where a third-party candidate has a snowball's chance in hell of winning a presidential election. Maybe someday, but not yet. And, throwing your vote away on some candidate that is going to lose is just giving the other party your vote. I'm sure glad you had the rule of never talking politics on here, Bill. Gives us one to break. It is scary, though. I mean, worldwide, things are getting really strange, really bad. But I am very concerned for the United States, because they're so much closer to the precipice than the populace realizes.
Oh, they won't realize till it's too late.
Exactly. And then you think you got a southern neighbor to bitch about now, Terry. Wait a couple of years and see how you like it. Yeah, that gay couple moved out and 15 gangbangers moved in.
but it's all changing all the time. So,
Yeah, but not for the better.
well, I don't know. I think the character of people that go into politics now is lacking.
Yeah,
And
don't
that
argue me on that one.
has to do with it. When you look at the guys that built our countries, right? They were character people. They had vision. They were leaders, right?
Yep.
I have yet, they call them leaders, but they're yes men for someone else behind the, well, now I sound like a conspiracy guy, but I just think they're all so beholden to other people that they can't do and be what they really are. So even if they are leaders, they can't perform.
Well, on top of that, I mean, you're not a leader unless you have people that are willing to follow you. And
Well, Trump seems to even have followers, enough to vote him in. So, you know,
that's one of the things that I find very hard to.
Trump is not a leader.
I cannot fathom how it is that the quantity of people that managed to get him into office actually still think, and I see these guys every day that they still think he's the best president we've ever had, doing a fantastic job. You know, one of the guys that I was in a thread with the other day is a farmer. He's running 14,000 acres in Iowa. Okay, of soy. Okay, not corn, soy. He just lost his fucking market. Everything he sold was ending going to China. It ain't anymore. And he thinks Trump is the best thing since sliced bread. Because Trump is going to put all this subsidy. You know what he's going to get? Probably could be measured in hundreds of dollars against his, hundreds of thousands of dollars of product, of crops. He's probably going to get 4 figures or 5 figures, which is not even going to offset the gas it took to haul that product. And yet, this guy's my hero. He's the best president we've ever had. He's doing a fantastic job. The economy is strong. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, how are you that blind? I just don't understand that. I can't fathom that. I mean, if these are people that I would expect that kind of reaction from someone who was in an asylum, but not someone who is a functioning member of society. I mean, if you can get your pants on without getting your dick caught in the zipper, you ought to have enough common sense to be able to see this guy is lying to me. He's lying to everybody constantly. He steals. He cheats. He's stupid. You ought to, at least one of those things ought to dawn on you, right? Any one of them.
The book that he wrote, The Art of the Deal, he doesn't understand. He isn't intelligent enough to understand what it's even about.
No.
He may have the best words, but he didn't write them.
And he can't spell them. Doesn't know what they mean. Don't know how to spell them. Yeah, well. Anyway, rant over for 30 seconds. It's scary though. And I do honestly think that a lot of the issue has become exacerbated, at least not soul blame, but exacerbated by everybody being nose deep in internet all day long, whether it be social media or this is where they get their news, and thinking that if it's on the internet, it must be valid. Somebody must have vetted it. This can't be fake news. Yeah, right. I don't know what, but I mean, this seems to have become so much worse since the advent of the internet.
So somebody asked me yesterday on Reddit, do I use Schema to fact check what I write about when I blog?
I saw that.
I read about patents, which are a primary source. They don't change overnight. I write about them as they appear on official places where patents get published. The USPTO website and WIPO. There's no need to fact check information that's factually correct.
Well, the way I read that question, though, Bill, was they were talking about if a site put up some information, just some, a blog, a news site, whatever, put some information up and it's marked up with schema, could they verify the credibility of that information through the markup? I don't think they're talking about you and your patent notes. I think they're just talking about schema marked up data in general, which, no. To me, that would be a no.
Depends if it's a fact or not.
Well, even if it isn't a fact.
Well,
I mean, if
you put a price in a price schema, in an offer schema, I think they know it's a price.
Well, they might know it's a price, but if you say, if I put out a blog post saying that Terry Van Horn is half Iranian and mark it up with schema, that doesn't make it true.
Oh,
now,
I said, it depends if it's a fact or not. That's not really a fact.
Well,
it's an incorrect fact, but it is a fact.
Say what?
It's an incorrect fact, but it is a fact.
Well, okay. Yeah, valid. I just don't think that schema markup, to me, doesn't indicate a damn thing about the credibility of stated information. It might mean you left yourself vulnerable to be detected by somebody like Google for having presented information that's incorrect. I can present myself in my markup as the CEO of Google. Okay, I would assume that at some point in time, Google might catch that and debunk it. Okay, but until that time, the fact that schema exists saying that Sheldon Campbell is the CEO of Google Inc. Is still there, and checking that schema isn't going to tell you if it's good information or bad.
But that's not the function of it.
Well, no, I know, but somebody was asking if they could use schema that way to determine.
Well, that's not the purpose of it. So why would they use it like that?
People try to do things they're not supposed to do with things all the time.
Because we've been having the President of the United States telling every newsworthy organization that questions his ability to preside over the country that they're making stuff up. It's fake news. They don't really have stories. He didn't conspire against the United States with the Russian government. The Mueller probe proves that. Of course, he didn't, but I mean, when you have people who are supposed to be trusted members of society decrying the press as if it's a crime against humanity, people start acting strangely about the press.
Well, I think he's got to.
Is schema capable of fact-checking the world? Guess what? When I write something on a blog post, I write about a patent. It's a source document. It's an official document. It's been filed with the official site that handles patents, and I link to it. So if you don't believe what I'm saying about patent, read it.
Yeah, right. But the citation, right, to that place, right?
Yeah.
Might help you get that point across that it is a fact by increasing the trust in what you said by the citation.
But schema doesn't magically fact check things by itself.
Yeah, because that's not its purpose. Its purpose is to help search engines or crawler help extract data from pages. It's not to fact check or do anything else. That happens after the fact. So they don't really understand the process.
Wait, there are people out there that don't understand the process?
Oh, okay. I forgot.
Now I'm confused. I'm disillusioned.
Disappointed.
Yeah. By the way, Bill, Dave asked me to tell you that he knows he was supposed to show up at your AMA yesterday and troll you, but he didn't make it. But that doesn't mean that he won't show up and troll you at some point.
Well, somebody did show up and ask me a trollish type question.
I saw something about a hot dog. Is it a sandwich? That was, I think, was that Casey or?
Casey asked me that on Facebook. Somebody else asked me that on Reddit.
Yeah, somebody on the Reddit asked whether the hot dog is a sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
so,
it Casey or John Carcutt, I think.
no,
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
So I told him, hey, well, I answered this question yesterday on Facebook. It is a sandwich because it's meat between bread with condiments.
Yeah.
But I said, okay, so I decided to try something different to answer this. And I looked in Google's data set search. I looked up sandwiches and I looked up hot dogs. And I tried to look for crossover
None?
of data sources. And Google wouldn't, if I search for hot dogs and sandwiches, Google wouldn't show me the union of those searches.
Also, Google doesn't think a hot dog is a sandwich.
Well, I'm not sure that Google understands that a hot dog is a sandwich yet. So maybe Google will figure that out. We'll have to wait and see.
Need some entity, need some things added to the knowledge graph to fill out the entity.
I think so. I was surprised at how many sources of information there were about hot dogs in the data set search.
Almost as many as the kind of meats in it.
Maybe they were showing reports on what the sales of hot dogs were like in different sports arenas, in the NFL, in NHL.
Baseball is the best for hot dogs.
Well, maybe. I'm not sure.
What? You know what they say on the Washington Post, Bill?
What's that?
Starch on the top and bottom that is not connected is obviously a sandwich. The starch on the bottom and two opposing sides is a taco. Therefore, a hot dog is a taco. I love it. I'll have one of those tubular tacos, please. Whoop. I got to run, guys. My company just showed up.
Ah.
It's all right. Good to see you, man. Terry, Bill, have a good day.
Well, see you later, Doug. Now there's only 14 minutes left anyhow.
It's a good time to depart. I get worried when my phone makes some of these notification noises it does. It's like the same as when I say, okay, Google. It does a little beep and it asks me what I want. And sometimes it gets triggered during these hangouts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right thing gets said, eh?
And it's not always Google that triggers it. I know the OK Google phrase is what they call a hot word that triggers Google Assistant. And that you can, for some of these assistants, like Alexa, you can assign other hot words.
Right.
So the hot word is the only word supposedly it listens for, and that turns it on.
Right. They could probably program to be anything, actually.
They could.
I know why Google probably wants OK Google, so you have to say their name and entrench it.
Well, they changed it so you can say other things, and you don't necessarily have to say Google.
Oh, okay. Guess they had to be like everyone else.
You trigger it to start interacting with you, but you don't necessarily have to say Google for every query if you follow up with something.
Oh no, I might get a cell phone in the near future.
Say something like, okay, Google, what's the, tell me news about hockey. And it's not responding to that. I guess that was too broad.
I was sleeping, catching up.
I think so. Mm-hmm. I like having my phone and my sport speaker next to each other and giving Google orders. See which one answers first.
Yeah.
And the speaker sometimes sends answers to the phone.
Oh.
So
My brother uses that.
there are 3 stories. Should I read them to you? And say yes. And say there's one more story. I can send it to the phone. Is that okay?
Oh, so it'll read them to you while you're working?
And no, it won't actually read the stories. It'll summarize them.
Oh, okay.
And then if you want more, it'll send links to the stories to your phone. So they work together. And I think the assistant's going to get smarter. It's going to start doing more things like making reservations for you at restaurants and hair salons and so on.
Oh, yeah.
It'll make the phone call tend to be a person.
Right. Just give it a list of tasks and it go and get you all the details.
That'd be good. Uh-huh.
Would they be able to make appointments, I guess, if you let them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you they'll have assistants that will talk to one another. No, like for instance, if I had an assistant and I hooked up with, say, an assistant where I don't get haircuts, but say I get a haircut, I could hook up the 2 assistants and they could talk. So when I wanted to make an appointment, could talk to the 2 assistants would just talk.
Right. So you could have a smart answering machine.
Right. They can do that now easily.
Yeah. Well. And
I actually looked at the programming for that, and that's kind of what it looked like to me. It's I've seen other things like it for tasks to outline a task and check that things are being done in a certain order.
So it would need to tie into a calendar.
Right.
And it would need to be able to commit your time on a calendar to a task.
Right. And tell the other one. That way, the humans don't even have to waste any time. It's just all. And it would be you hook it up and allow these things to talk to one another.
Makes sense to me.
Well, I was looking the other day and was surprised to find that every one of the grocery stores that I checked
Yeah.
You can now make an order online and pick it up already picked and ready to go at the grocery store.
How much do they charge to deliver?
No, not delivery. You can even go there and just pick up the groceries and pay for them.
And they'll bring that to your car.
Probably. Yeah. I know one has right to the door delivery.
Yeah.
They just started that. But I think Prime isn't big here yet. And I think the big companies here have picked up, okay, these guys are going to hurt our business. We got to start this now. And they're getting a head start on them.
Well, places like Walmart and Best Buy have departments where you can pick up orders that you've made online.
Right.
But one of the local grocery stores, you can pull up in your car and they'll deliver it to your car.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you get the same prices, that you spend a half hour to an hour every week. For me, I have to go 3 times a week, roughly.
Yeah.
Half an hour there, half an hour back on the bus, and then half an hour in the store. That's 4.5 hours. So if you're working and you're having to pay them $10 to deliver it to your house, and it's not costing you any more money than the delivery, you save money. I would save money just on the bus fares. However, I am getting that senior discount now. And I believe I'm checking it out this weekend. I think it's on the honor system. So I don't even have to have my ID to prove I'm 65. Just telling them's enough, I guess. Admitting to it.
So they wouldn't card you.
No. Oh, they might on a train. Here we have a system now. It's a card. You load it with at the station, right? And then just hit the card every time you go in a bus. Well, occasionally an inspector will come by and check, but I'll tell you, out where I live, I haven't seen an inspector in literally years.
Really?
But it's showing we're going to paperless, right?
Yeah.
Pretty soon you won't be able to buy tokens. I bet you. Got to load it on a card.
That makes sense.
Yeah. This was a 200 show?
No, this was 201.
Oh, that was last week.
That was last week.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 200 this week. Oh, well. Day late and $1 short.
I'm not big for celebrating numbers like that. Maybe I should be. Remind me of 300.
Okay. We used to have at 100 or 50, have a special show. Just a way to get more people, good people on the show. That's all.
Mm-hmm. To remember that for the 250th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you have any ideas on this core update? You think anything special other than some tinkering of the algorithm?
It's already happened?
Supposedly it started being distributed to different data centers last night.
No ideas. I don't know what they would want to be what new advancement there is. To me, the ones that really change is when they change the technology, like caffeine, hummingbird, rank brain, when they actually change the way they build the cert.
So I've been seeing lots of positive things surfacing about this BERT, which is a natural language processing approach, which understands context better than the one behind RankBrain. In RankBrain, if it sees the word bank on a page, it doesn't understand that it could be a financial institution or the side of a river. A bank is a bank.
Right.
So if somebody has a long query with the word bank in it, it doesn't distinguish between the different types of banks.
Well, given some of the things that they've been doing with context, I would say there's a good chance that something like that is what they're updating. I can see that.
It makes sense to.
It would be where they're going.
Yeah.
I think I just got company too.
Well, it's
4 o'clock anyhow. Good timing.
good time. I guess that's it for our show today, folks. Thank you for joining us. Take care now. Bye.
See y'all later.
See you, Terry.
See you later, Bill.